okay? That's right. Yeah, he was very excited about it.
Why is it? I never.
I can or.
For the summer, yes.
You know what? I was gonna say, I don't know.
You can't. I need to email it to you. You'll have to fill me in on that.
Yeah.
Well, if you can email it to me, just.
I will.
Yeah,
Um,
whatever you have.
So that one's. Yeah, exile. Yeah. Well, she's.
But I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
How business.
I can give you friends.
It's the lighting at night. It doesn't, like it doesn't light up. But all the signs light up, so that makes.
Hi, Kim. Hello.
I think that's the case. You can move.
Not yet. The moving day is, well, it hasn't happened yet. I just scheduled moving day on the 26th.
It never just.
So packing and chaos will be,
What time, when did you say the 26th?
yeah, it's a Wednesday. Yeah, it's Wednesday. So I'll be packing Monday and Tuesday because I do everything last minute. Now I roll. Gotta be motivated. That's the only way I get anything done. Whenever I try to do something a week ahead of time, it's like, wah, wah, you know, there's gotta be urgency. Then I can hit that.
Is your daughter at home?
No.
No kids are at home. Good.
No, my oldest, I asked him, I said, I'm like, are you gonna help me move? He's like, do I have a choice? Nope.
Is he the trampoline guy?
No, that's the middle one. The trampoline kid left today and he won't be back till the end of June. He's gonna miss the whole thing. I'm sure he's not sad about it. So my oldest will be the only one. So, yeah. Mhm. It'll all get done.
I mean, are you talking about, well, with the moving company, extra beds, put extra beds out?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they'll take all the furniture down and put it all back
Good.
up. So it's mainly just a matter of boxing up all the kitchen stuff, all the closet
Yeah, the boxes.
crap. No, I'll go get them. What is today? Tuesday. There's a place in Wichita that has boxes donated. You can pick up any kind of box for a donation. And they're open on Tuesdays and Saturdays.
I heard the balloon company get you free boxes out here.
Really? In
That's
here in
what I
El
heard.
Dorado?
Yes.
That might be handy.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. So, matter of fact, I need to put that on my list of things to do.
And cake,
Yeah.
and then some labels for me.
Yeah.
I didn't bring my calendar. I cannot believe I did not bring my calendar today.
Good.
I always have it.
I'm really glad.
Okay, I need to I don't get anything done unless I have an alarm on my phone.
Uh-huh. Hi, Forrest.
Hey there.
Man, if you would get us all VCTV shirts, we could all wear them.
You never messaged me back. I'm serious about
The same.
chatting or going to the open. That'd be fun.
Yes.
Just let me know what days. I'm trying to get moved this weekend.
I'm good. How are you guys?
I saw your.
Yeah.
From the.
Oh,
Which one, the big one?
No, the one in the. Sand trap.
Oh, yes. That's so cool.
That was.
Are they lockdown cameras from the police?
So she was.
Test.
She said.
And so I think-
Nine thirty, oh my God.
I would like to call the result in the college board trustees regular board meeting for July 11th to order. And please join me in the pledge of allegiance.
Whichever, yeah. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll start with the approval of the agenda.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make one change to the agenda,
Okay,
and that is under board item 9B. to move 9B to 8C to a discussion item. It turns out that it doesn't require a trustees vote and doesn't go to K-Board, but they do want to discuss it with us.
Okay, any other changes?
Madam Chair, I don't know if we have to pull the minutes out of the consent agenda, but the minutes reflect that I left before the end of our exec session last month, which is inaccurate. I was here till the end of the exec session. I didn't partake in the work session. And I don't think I was here when we actually voted to adjourn, but I was here for the whole exec session.
Okay. Will, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, if you'll allow us to just make that change.
I'm fine with that. If that's,
You know, approve them as amended or something like that, but we'll go back to the official minutes and Jennifer and I can make sure we get that change. If that's okay with you guys.
I'm okay
And we'll
with
make
that.
sure we post it. Got that, Jennifer?
Yep, got it.
Jennifer and I, but it'll be Jennifer. Tell she's gone on maternity leave.
And then,
I would like to move the consent agenda item 10C, A and B, bids and purchases to the board action item.
okay,
Are we gonna vote on these one by one or?
We need to one by one. Vote on the action items one by one.
I'm changing it. David, get second.
okay. So first change that Dave's suggested was taking 9B and moving it to 8C, which is the online teaching instruction design and online corporate training, instructional design certificates. Do I have a motion to make that change?
Where were we gonna put it to?
8C.
8C. I made the motion. I just
Yeah,
need a
motion.
second.
I'm sorry, do we have
I'll
a
second
second?
that.
Okay, second by Forrest and
Are your intention to just start this program at that point?
With, well, Heather can explain it too, but with these certificates, because it's a 12-hour certificate, it doesn't have to have approval from anybody. It's not costing anything. It's being done internally. And so it doesn't go to K-Board. And typically with certificates like that, that are short-term like that, we don't bring them to you folks for approval anyway. We go ahead and-
So I guess my question is for, you can start any program you want that are 12 hours. -ish.
Yep.
That's not that. If it's not giving us to say the action.
I would say that, I mean, by K-Board regulations, we don't have to have your approval to do that because we don't send it on to K-Board. But I would say probably if, you know, if there was going to be for some reason, some significant cost involved in it, then we would probably, you know, give you a heads up and talk to you about it. But, there's no cost involved.
So I get, I just saw it. Say it. And vote.
okay, the next item, Forrest made the
We need to
motion.
vote on that one first.
Oh, I'm sorry, we didn't vote on that. Sorry. Go
Trustee
ahead.
Good?
That was discussion.
We're voting on Dave's motion.
To amend, yes.
Yes.
Trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Jolly,
Yes,
trustee Hueslick,
Yes.
trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
okay, next, Forrest brought to light that there was a error in the regular meeting minutes, and it should reflect that he left after executive session.
I think that would be for the special meeting.
It was
Special.
Yeah, the special meeting on May 28th.
So that's the change to 10B. So do we have a second to make that change?
I'll second.
Trustee Good,
No, I'm kidding. Yes.
trustee Brungart,
yes.
trustee Rhodes.
Yes.
Trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Hueslick,
Yes.
trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Okay, the next change is Shelby's, and you're wanting to move C, A, and B to
So board action item.
So
D,
eight
uh,
D,
or it would be C and D.
Nine.
Oh, D and E.
It can be whatever we need. I would
Why?
like to name it YES.
okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Good,
No,
trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Jolly,
Yes,
trustee Hueslick,
Yes.
trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
okay, any additional changes?
Just like a minute or so to talk about for this. And the report time.
Okay.
I can do that for my presence.
Yeah.
yeah, what, yeah,
I just had a couple for this question.
oh, for this, excuse me.
We had mentioned about adding that. To the online.
Okay, the president's report will include comments about Forbes by Shelby.
Is there a second?
Was there a second?
Second.
Second,
Trustee Good,
yes,
trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes.
Yes.
Trustee Jolly,
Yes,
trustee Hueslick,
Yes.
trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
okay,
I move that we accept the agenda as amended.
okay, do I have a second? Okay, Ms. Shelby,
Trustee Good,
yes,
trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes.
Yes.
Trustee Jolly,
yes,
trustee Hueslick,
Yes.
trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
okay. Next, we have recognitions, which we had none
Nothing this week or
this month. Do we have any public comment at this time? Anyone in the audience? Okay, if none, we'll go on to the standing reports. Do we have Student Government Association this week time? Operational staff report?
next.
No, Zach. Professional employees report?
No, Terry.
No, Terry. Board Finance Committee report, Mary Martha or Dave?
let's see. I'm the only one that showed up.
Well, I showed up a little late.
Just a little.
There really is no anomalies in the statement of revenue. Are there any questions that you may have? I do want to point out one thing though, and that is, and this is just for you guys to know. The vehicle tax that we collect, you know, was always very important to me because that means how many vehicles you're registering in Butler County. And that helps us. But we're $80,000 below last year's vehicle tax, but that's by the county. So just ask yourself what's happening. Are people not buying cars or are they piling them in Oklahoma? That's all I have to say.
Okay,
Something to think about.
if you title in Oklahoma, Mary Martha will find out.
You can see them running the streets.
That's right. Okay, Foundation Board report.
Foundation Board met last month for our quarterly meeting. An update on portfolio performance. The fair market value of the endowment is up about 1.3 million from last year. So the endowment value right now is 16.285 million. Budget was approved for this year. No major changes from last year. We had 3 directors who have completed 2 3-year terms, so their 6-year service, and we thank them for their service. They were going off the board. That was Dr. Tom Estep, Janice Jones, and Ryan Murray. We approved the selection of 3 new board members, Mandy Hirsch, Chevis Rebstock, and Philip Solario, who will be coming on at our next meeting, right, in August. And then also recognize that Evan Funk is the outgoing board president, and John Blickenstaff, who will be coming on as the board president at our next meeting.
Okay. Educational facilities report.
we have a meeting tomorrow, but as Dr. Kroll reported, the turf is up and out. They loaded it up on flatbeds and away it went. And there is, I'm assuming we're kind of being done with the drainage, like checking the drainage system. And I know that there's going to be some infrastructure kind of work done. And then we're ready to put on a new turf and new track
Great. On schedule still.
on schedule still. I saw where Andover High was putting in a new turf.
So you're aware Ireland is kind of serving as the, for the three entities, the project manager. So he's over there all the time and he's kind of the point person as they have questions and stuff like that. So he's staying on top of everything.
Do they recycle that old turf or does it just get
Yeah.
landfilled?
They sell.
Well,
Mhm.
sometimes if they have.
Facilities, I know, we're getting a sign on the phone.
Oh, really?
Whole inside the building yesterday, starting about that, so. Almost drove off the road.
Yeah, the sign. Yes, the sign was installed on the north side of the building today. They did hit a water sprinkler line that we had to repair. And the small sign on the south end will be installed tomorrow. And we're still waiting on the other two monuments. We're still a few weeks out on those.
Yay.
Okay, the KHCC report. Are you doing that, Mary Martha?
I am. It was a lovely Saturday morning to meet with the 19 colleges. Excuse me while I get set up here. I have several things to report on. I want you to know that I did go around and ask the community college presidents to consider applying for Butler Community College president. Many comments were made. I'll leave it at that. Next, we had a presentation from the auditing firm of Lloyd and Associates. It was really good about fraud in the workplace. 10% of your employees will steal from you. They gave us things about what to make sure that we do. And of course, Kent has already assured us that he's doing all of those. So that was good. One thing that really disappointed me was hearing that the KBOR, the universities are now offering courses for $49 an hour. And here they're allowed to now grant 2-year an associate's degree. I think that's something we need to be aware of. I almost blame it on a time in the legislature when I was there. It was when President Bardo from WSU came and asked us in committee if we would allow WSU and WSU Tech to merge together. And I thought it was kind of funny. None of us had any questions. We were not made aware of it. But I think it's all starting to snowball now from that law that we made. And it just upsets me to no end. Let's see, what else? We had a discussion on taping our meetings. They are starting to think that maybe we should not do that. And why? Because our competitors are watching us, finding out things, and beating us to the punch on some things. So I think that's a discussion we should have later on, not today, but something to think about. We have a DEI bill that's coming up that is going to throw everybody into a tizzy, but you guys are responsible for the training, and that will have to be done by what? July 1st, is that right?
Yeah, the bill passed. We have to post on our websites any kind of training that we do. We don't have any training that's specifically related to diversity, equity, and inclusion according to the bill. But we do have, we're going to post our Title IX training in our training that we do on non-discrimination harassment. And even though it's not specifically DEI focused, but those are the trainings. that go
Mhm.
with those. Those are part of our mandatory trainings.
So-
We have to post them to the website.
Right, and then another thing too is they have to include pregnancy, which I thought was a little bit, and that was under Title IX, I believe. On
Well,
sports, and I thought, oh gosh, and they said there's going to be so many lawsuits on this bill.
that's not part of DEI.
It's part of just the bills that are coming out. Let's see if I can find it here. The title, it's Title IX.
Title IX is just making sure that related to our students that are pregnant, that we need to make sure that they, for instance, if they have babies early or they miss class or something like that, that we have to make sure that they have accommodations.
Mhm.
That we can't penalize them because they have a pregnancy or premature birth or something like that. So, our staff and our faculty need to be aware that they'll work with students as part of that. So,
And I think that is it. If you have any questions, I'll entertain them. Okay, thank you.
Okay, next we have the president's report.
go ahead, Shelby, and do
And Shelby.
questions about forms.
I know it's been, seems like over 2 years now, and I didn't know when renewal's coming up. And I haven't seen anything, and I went through my old board books and I couldn't find the meeting where we approved it. So I didn't know in by next month if we could know. Have it, whatever that is, or let us know when
The renewal's coming up. I don't know the exact date, but I know it's coming up sometime this summer, right?
Yeah, this summer.
Yeah.
I don't know the deadline.
We'll find out.
Okay, so I'd like to see the numbers, and I think last time it was fairly reasonable. I
I
mean,
think it was a $40,000.
Right.
But it was a multi-year.
and then there was another 1,000 something for sports, or 50. Yeah. I just think I've been listening to some books, and it's like, what gets measured gets managed, and if you have more data on hand, you have more information, it's like, I don't think it's ever a bad thing. And then design is destiny, so if you have the data and you have people that look at it occasionally, I think that'd be a positive. I can't see anything negative in it. So I was just curious what I think.
We'll get the date.
Okay, see you.
Dave talked about the turf and track work on schedule. We hosted our first cheer camp last week, the first of 3. So we'll have more cheerleaders on in the next few weeks. This is the time of year when we're doing all of our performance evaluations for our employees. The faculty aren't included in this cycle, but all of the other employees are included in annual performance evaluations by their supervisors. We also do we do a mid-year check-in where we look at job descriptions and update those and just see if there's progress being made on goals. But this evaluation period is when you really spend some comprehensive time looking at the goals that have been set, and whether people are making progress, and set goals for next year and stuff like that. So employees do a self-evaluation that's shared with supervisor, and the supervisor and employees sit down and go through that whole evaluation together. Everything's electronic now and internal, which is nice in our performance management system. So you can easily go back and, find prior years, and it's all. And we have identified, I think it was just last week, the first negotiations meeting that we will have with the faculty team will be July 17th. And the second one we have scheduled for the 19th. We'll spend some time ahead of that, the July board meeting and exec session, visiting with you folks about. You've seen the copy of our notice of letter from back in March, and you've seen the faculty notice of letter, and we'll spend some time at the July board meeting and exec session talking about negotiations. So
Do you want one of the board members present for that?
for the meetings.
Mhm.
I don't think to sit at the table with us, we can talk about that.
Okay.
I know, trying to think, I guess maybe we had, there were a couple of occasions last summer when board members came and just listen, but you don't really engage in the conversation.
Right.
So we can talk about that. Thanks. That's what I have. unless people have questions.
Okay, moving on to monitoring reports, Dr. Speary.
Yes, thanks. In my ongoing role as Dean of Academic Support and Effectiveness, you've had a chance to read the monitoring report about the various programs and departments that are under the divisions. So I would ask for any questions you might have from the monitoring report.
Could you explain the chart on page 14? I didn't know what the difference is.
Oh, the adult ed?
Uh-huh.
Okay, well, the first two pages are the state statistics and the next two pages.
No,
I think-
I'm sorry, just page 14. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Chart.
Okay.
The numbers were just quite a bit different. I was just curious. Why?
Did you go there?
14.
Yep.
Oh, this is the work of the faculty curriculum team. So it gives you the number of courses that were worked through in terms of either new courses or revision of existing courses in 22, 23, and then in contrast, what has happened in the past year.
So we changed or revised more courses last year than we have this year.
Yes. And that pertains mostly to a 3-year cycle. So, and it depends on what programs we're focusing on revision of courses. So it's very cyclical.
I guess the question I had, it said there are new courses, it says curriculum review of 8 and 23 and then 45 and 24. Is that a number of new courses actually, or just reviewing courses?
Well, that would be a goodly number of those courses from that year were CTE related courses.
Bill, I had a question. Oh,
I was just gonna say, just to add, Bill can chime in. There's an actual committee, a curriculum review committee that's standard for the institution that manages this whole process and works. I don't know, how long does it take for a course from start to finish to get through the curriculum review and?
Well, in terms of working with the curriculum team, it's generally it would be like 6 weeks to 2 months in the actual process. Generally a department chair or lead is working with specific faculty in the department, and they work through following the guidelines that the college has in terms of generating a course outline. Then they work through it, and then they have two representatives that are faculty from different disciplines on the curriculum team that work with them in terms of the format and the guidelines. And then the whole curriculum team will review and make edits and recommendations of revision, and then it goes to the deans for approval. So takes generally at least a couple of months for a course to either go through the revision process. Generating a new course, it depends on what the course is. And, I would say new courses probably are in generation for at least 6 months, because you need to plan for the next year in terms of what's coming up in terms of new coursework.
I maybe one. Got one. I'll go for it.
page 19,
Okay.
under department highlights, awarded 6 scholarships for books and tuition. It's a large drop from previous. Do you know why there was a large drop?
Yeah, the tutoring scholarships. Actually, in the past several years, there's been a shift in terms of what students want as their model for their involvement with being tutors. It's much more workable for a lot of outstanding students that they could work as student workers in terms of the number of hours that they will be engaged in tutoring. The old model for scholarships, a student was obligated for 15 hours a week. And sometimes that wasn't enough in terms of what they're focusing on in terms of their availability. Sometimes it was a little bit too much. So it's much better and more effective in terms of all those hours that we are contacting and engaging students with tutoring if it's a more flexible student worker model.
Makes sense. Thank you, Phil.
So actually, in terms of the number of student tutors that we have, it's grown and grown and grown in the last 3 years because of the shift of model.
Thank you.
I just had one more on that page 14 where it said reviewed courses. Is that like where we evaluate, like we started welding and masonry at the prison? And for a while, it was a 3-year cycle till we reviewed. Now it's supposed to be a 2-year cycle. Is that what that means there on the reviewed courses?
Oh,
Or I might just,
well, in terms of the cycle for, I think you're basically referring to the provide cycle,
I think.
you know, which is a different cycle than the curriculum cycle.
This is more when, as far as like revision and change and stuff, it's more when faculty change maybe to meet different standards of different CTE classes and things.
Well, you know, necessarily lots of CTE courses have to be regularly updated.
Right.
You know, because technology changes and methods change. There's much more regular review cycle for the traditional transfer courses, whereas CTE, it depends on what the course is. Does that help?
Yeah, thank you.
Any other
Yeah.
questions? If not, we'll move on to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for your time. That's a lot of work. Board strategic discussions, issues and opportunities, deferred maintenance, Kent.
Yeah, I'd like, Jennifer, do you have that? Okay. Well, Ireland's coming up. He's going to talk to you about the projects that we have. I wanted to go ahead and talk just a little bit about the financing that we're looking at. And Jennifer's pulled up the topic for discussion. I do need to tell you that I put the wrong date there. It said in preparation of the FY24 budget. We're actually looking at getting ready for the FY25 budget. So I had a little problem with the date there. And when we get to the resolution that Yolanda sent you, there's another little problem with the date. But anyway, Jennifer, if you could go ahead and go to the next page. And this is, I believe, 21 in your page 21, 22 in the board book. And what we're looking at here is a 3-year projection, the current year and the next 3 years. And these are obviously just estimates at this time. The main source of revenue that we have at this point is the money that's coming in from the state. The state started FY24 giving us an annual capital outlay appropriation. We went through this when we did the budget update, that most of the other colleges have been receiving capital outlay money. We hadn't. So we think this there's a good chance this is going to be a continuing funding. It's not set in stone, so it could be taken away from us, but this projection anticipates that we'll get it for at least the next 3 years. And I just kind of rounded it to $1.6 million. I think it is likely from what Hannah Morgan has told us that it might go down a little bit. For the 25 year, you can see on line 3, I've reduced that by $750,000. We mentioned this in April when we brought you the preliminary recommendation for next year's budget, that we wanted to use some of the capital outlay money for capital outlay type of items, but things that were in our operating budget to help with the operating budget for FY25. But we don't want to make that a permanent use of those state dollars. We want to move forward from that, so the state dollars for capital outlay are going for deferred maintenance. And I think you'll see when Ireland starts talking about the projects that we have plenty of uses for this this money coming from the state. Another thing that is an error here on line 5, it says state deferred maintenance. It starts at $100,000, which we're going to get from the state. We're going to get $500,000 over 5 years, but it won't start until 2026. The other thing then, obviously, is the beginning unencumbered cash. We began this year down on line 14 with 2 million, almost 2,387,000 is what we show here. That came mostly from the HERF indirect funds. I think we've been through that a lot, and you understand how that came from the HERF indirect money that went to the general fund, and we put it in this designated account. So the bottom line here is that at the beginning of 2024, we had about 2.4 million. If all these things were to come to pass, which I've made estimates of here, we would be down to about 1.2 million at the end of 27. So this is an area where I think we need to be really thankful that the state is giving us this money. Eventually, we could have to look at having a general fund, operating fund transfer to this fund, or another capital outlay levy at some point. But hopefully for the next 3 years, we have a plan that we think we can fund with the resources that we think we have available. And with that sort of background on the revenue side of it, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Ireland to talk about the actual projects. Thank you.
Good evening. First off, I'd like to remind everyone, some of you wasn't on the board back in 2018, and at that time, we actually did a college-wide master plan. And in that master plan, it was assessed that we had over $20 million worth of deferred maintenance. And a lot of these projects on this spreadsheet here were actually part of that assessed projects. If you see on the spreadsheet on deferred maintenance in 2024, that column, those items, all but the bottom 35,000 have been completed. And then projects for 2025, you'll see the list of those in the second column. And as you can see, the largest projects in 2025 are the west parking lot replacement and the start of the 700 building HVAC upgrade. Then the following year, 2026, we will complete the 700 building upgrade and so on. We have two large projects listed, the 700 and 600 building HVAC upgrades, which will have to happen over several phases because both of those projects are large enough. It would take 6 to 8 months to complete. And our summers are not quite that long. So, does anyone have any questions on this list before I talk more about the 600 and 700 buildings? Yes,
Which one's the Fine Arts Building?
700 buildings.
700, thank you,
600 is the library and the center.
thank you.
Okay, the 700 building is first on our schedule. So that'll have to be done in several phases. Both the 600 and 700 building are pretty complex. They have a lot of old equipment from the late 60s, a lot of student involvement, a lot of outside staker traffic flow through those. It is going to be my recommendation that we actually bring in a CMR, which is a construction manager at risk, instead of going out and bidding it totally each project. That process actually gives that general contractor will work with the engineer, the architects, and us to actually develop a plan and the phases to knock out each of these buildings. These buildings, we will not be able to vacate like we did the 500 building or the 900 building. To complete them, we're going to have to vacate small areas, complete the work in there, open those back, and go to the different areas all through the buildings. A CMR at risk should be able to keep us on schedule. We will work with the building stakeholders to plan out these phases. It'll also keep us under budget. We will have a budget for that, and that contractor and engineers and architects and us will work together to meet that budget instead of going out to bid and your normal projects, and we come in twice what we had budgeted for.
Say
Yes.
some, if you're not familiar with the construction manager at risk, or maybe to reacquaint you with it, we would do a request for proposal. So there would be competition for the general contractors who would want to be the CMR for the project. And then once we've decided on a CMR, the CMR actually bids out for the sub. So we have a bid process. So I just wanted to make sure everybody understood, if you weren't really familiar with that, that there is a bid process that goes through it. But the CMR works with the architect and with Ireland and his staff. So if there are problems or if they have to value engineer, they can do that much more quickly.
And we've used this,
500.
yeah, tell them which. we've used
We have
CMR.
CMR with 5,000 projects, the actual 500 and 300. The last CMR project was Simpson the Construction. We actually came in about $150,000 under budget. So
For the construction manager,
yes,
For the whole project.
for the whole project.
for the whole projects with. The timeline on this is we'd like to send an RFP out. Gravity Works would help us with that to actually get the proposals in and have the board approve the CMR at the August board meeting so that they can start working with this in September. So we can actually start, we're working in the 700 directly after school's out in May to complete it throughout that year.
So Ireland, somebody comes in from like Simpson Construction to be a CMR.
Correct. A CMR is a general contractor. It may
Right.
be Conco, Simpson, any of these other ones, McCollum. And they will come in and actually they will help design, plan, and work as a general contractor, but they're in the project from the beginning, so they can know the project, that they can look ahead. If we have issues, we tear out some ceilings. They will do a lot of investigating work prior to it, so they can know exactly what the project scope is. Then they will bid all that work out with subcontractors and bring in a price back for us for the whole project. So,
Thank you.
any more questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Ireland.
Okay, next we'll move to the property and liability insurance. Is that right?
So we got a good surprise on this. We at one point had heard it might be 20% increase. Last year, obviously, we had to raise a bunch of building values and it was outrageous. But, you know, it came in almost flat. I mean, it's like a 0.2% increase. So we were really excited about that. I went to the meeting where they announced this, and the one thing they said was that they felt like there may be a softening of the market coming up a little. You know, it's been a really hard market for a long time, and possibly because the consortium that we're in really negotiates with the reinsurers rather than with the next level of the market, that they think we may be a little bit ahead of the curve. Whatever the reason is, we're very pleased with this. And obviously, since we belong to this consortium and we have to tell them by February whether or not we're going to accept what they have, this is not an action item, but we did just want to bring you up to speed on where we're at there.
Thank you.
Okay,
I had
next we will.
one question. I think Kim Brungart last year mentioned something, maybe evaluating if we had any buildings that weren't worth insuring, and I never heard you guys looked at that, or I still heard anything back on it.
Yeah, we have done some work on that. The one building that was identified is the 800 building. Although there are some people who would like to use that for office space now. But we did talk to the insurance company. Ireland did some work like regarding utilities and maintenance. I think insurance wise, it might have saved us about between $5,000 to $7,000 and maybe another possibly $8,000 to $10,000. So there could be a savings if you took it offline. You were able to eliminate insurance, custodian and maintenance and utilities, that you could save possibly between $12,000 and $15,000.
Which building is it, Kent?
The 800 building is a classroom building that's on the far southwest corner of the main campus. You would walk across from the facilities building, you would walk straight north and you'd be at the 800 building.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to 8C, online teaching, instructional design and online corporate training, instructional design certificates, page 34.
Let Heather speak to that, okay?
So this idea was kind of born from our ed tech office. We have instructional designers and a whole team of people that help develop our courses online. But as technology continues to be a component of any classroom, the same is happening with online courses in terms of even our face-to-face courses. A lot of them will use what we call a course shell within our learning management software, which is Canvas. So we have had trouble over the last few years hiring people. We've had a hard time finding people. And there aren't really many, if any, programs of this nature. They're all master's level programs. And so for a student or an employee who wants to start out entry level we thought this would be a great way, one, to grow our own employees, and also to help contribute to people that want to get started in this field. So it's broken into two sections because while online teaching and instructional design are prominent in the education and healthcare sectors, it's not really much different than corporate training. So you'll see a lot of different companies will offer their own training and, you know, professional development and things like that, and or required trainings. And they'll put them in an LMS like this. And so this certificate allows people to take those classes and develop those skills. We do have some initial market research on it. So for the online teaching and instructional design, according to Lightcast second quarter, the US averages over 200,000 jobs for instructional designers. They start out at an average salary of $75,000 and projected to grow over 250,000 jobs by 2033. In the same regard, the same Lightcast data shows US averages over 350,000 for corporate training jobs and an average salary of 64,000 and projected to grow over 500,000 jobs by 2033. So this is kind of step one. Our desire would be at some point to develop a full associate degree, which, you know, hopefully we can get there, but this is a start and a way that we're trying to kind of grow our own. And so I would answer any questions you might have.
I was looking at the bottom here, you said if it's 15 or fewer hours, we don't have to do cable, if it's 12 or fewer, because you've got the internship option, but that's not part of it, is it?
If it's a, oh, sorry, go ahead.
You're asking if the internship is part of it?
So you guys were saying a board doesn't need to approve it or cable board doesn't, if it's less than 15 hours,
Less than 12, 16.
less
Less
than
than
16.
Anything
Okay.
that's 16 or more.
The internship is an option.
Right.
A student doesn't have to
I
take.
heard 15 earlier, so I'll just clarify.
And so it's 16?
It says in your board book that anything that's less than 16 credit hours doesn't have to go to the Board of Regents for approval. If it's a 16 credit hour certificate or more, and they've got different levels of certificates depending upon the number of credit hours, but the starting point or the dividing line is 16 credit hours or more, then it has to go to K-Board for approval. And there's very specific guidelines that you have to follow with all of that information that you submit to the Board of Regents.
Not to poke the bear too much, but the Kansas statute of the trustees' obligations are approval of courses and curriculums and all that kind of stuff also. Whereas I'm just getting a weird vibe that we aren't approving anything. It's just, we're just being told it's happening. Which I
Well, you
get
do,
what
I
you're
mean,
saying,
you approve we back up and quit stuttering. You approve any of the Associate of Applied Science degrees, because those have to go to the Board of Regents, also Technical Education Authority and the Board of Regents for approval. You already have approved our associate's degrees. We approved the Associate of Arts, the Associate of Science, the Associate of General Studies. We have authorization from you guys to offer those, from K-Board through their regs, through the Higher Learning Commission. And so that's what the statute essentially speaks to, is that you have given us, because there are concentration areas for the associate's degrees, for example, in accounting, but they aren't getting an associate of arts in accounting. They're getting an associate of arts degree. So you already have approved those associate degrees for us. Historically, when we've made changes to, for instance, and developed a new concentration area or something, this board we haven't brought all of those things to this board for approval because you've already approved our ability to offer associate's degrees.
Okay.
The Associate of Applied Science
Just
ones.
a
we
weird
recommend.
devil's advocate, say you guys say, well, we're starting 100 new programs, all 12 hours. Here's everything we're starting, we're just informing. Is that? Are you able to do that? I know it'd be,
Technically,
and
we
the
can.
board would just, how would the board deal with that? Would they deal with it budgetarily later? Like, hey, We understand you started
but-
a 100 program, but it's gonna cost 5 million and we're not gonna,
No,
I mean,
what
we
I
have to have
said,
checks and balances. So
what
I'm just
I-
asking what,
yeah, what I said before, I think if we were starting a program that was going to require a significant infusion of dollars or, hiring a bunch of new faculty, then, then I think we would, feel like we needed to bring and talk to you. I don't think that we've ever been in that position before where we've started a new program that's taken a significant amount of resources that we haven't shared with you.
But I know that we have approved, like when changes are made and have to be sent to KBOR. We've
There's-
approved those,
well-
and those are courses.
Well, those are specific
Yeah.
guidelines that KBOR establishes and we have to follow those.
Yeah.
And if there's a question about those, I mean, Peggy Kraus is our coordinator of curriculum and is the one that keeps everything up to date in the KBOR database. And so if there's questions about things that have to be sent to KBOR or approved by them, I mean, she's always really on top of that to let us know, yes, this needs board approval or it doesn't. So
I'm not trying to be a jerk. When you say costs occur, I mean, it's not gonna be zero cost if you're making all these things. So at what point does the board have a say? At what threshold would that cost cross?
So like-
What do you mean by all these things?
I'm just saying, you're gonna start these two programs,
Mhm.
without board approval, and it's not a zero cost thing. There's gonna have to be someone who teaches it that's not teaching this current cost.
Yeah, I would say,
Class, but if we don't have any students attend, or at least to break even, and then if we hire a new person that's gonna get, healthcare benefits, and I mean, I just don't know. At some point,
there's no one being hired. It's been developed by my ed tech team. They plan to teach the classes. So at most, there would be an adjunct cost for teaching the class. But other than that, there's no equipment. It's all online. It's all content that they've built themselves. We didn't pay them to build that content. They built it as our instructional designers, on the dime that we already pay them. So they made a commitment to doing this because they saw a need. And so the term all these things suggests that there's all these future costs coming in that this type of program wouldn't have that. There's no equipment. There's no, if we were going to hire somebody, that would indicate that we have enough enrollment that the revenue justifies that
we're
expense.
gonna hire an adjunct. And eventually there will be equipment costs, because we're gonna have, Bill's not here anymore to do it for us, but laptop replacements and camera replacements and all that. I mean, it's.
We already give those people laptops as employees. They already work for us. We're already,
This, it's not I mean, there are some costs. It's not a zero sum game. I mean, it just makes me a little uncomfortable approving programs. Because like today, I got a thing from Google. I was on YouTube. They had a AI skills with Google for free. I mean, it was like a program we started or approved last month. But now Google's hit people on YouTube for free or $49 at the most if you miss your window. So.
but we don't know that translate exactly what we teach. We're not comparing apples to apples here.
I just would have liked to add my say of no, because I think we're gonna have one more pathway, one more program. It seems like an expansionary way of. Maybe if we could hear in the fall after enrollment and see how many people enroll, and just have a report back with the next.
Sorry,
Just-
you'd mentioned something about maybe evolving into an associate's degree.
Mhm.
Is this being done on other campuses?
There aren't a lot of associate degree programs, which is why we felt that we could step into that space and help with that entry level. That would then transfer on. So that's the goal, is to create pathways for students to
And
enter that field,
and then
starting at the associate
those
degree level.
Degrees would be more marketable. Is that
Right. And they would be able to step in, like right now, our instructional designer, we prefer them to have some experience. We haven't been able to recruit people. Sometimes we've had to make, adjustments to job descriptions to get people into those jobs, right? So this allows us to also grow our own people so that if someone wants to step into that entry level job, they have some familiarity with how to build a course. They've got some experience, at least in education, and not in the workspace.
Thank you.
Butler has some very rigorous quality standards for the courses that have to go online. And so again, this is about teaching people how to develop courses to the standard and the understanding of, what they need to have to be able to actually then develop an actual online course. And again, as Heather indicated, it's all being done internally with current staff, current resources, no cost.
Okay, any other comments? If none, we'll go on to 8D, which is diesel tech certification kits on page 46.
I just want to be able to vote yes for it, 'cause I thought it was pretty cool that they're gonna get, that Snap-on.
Yes.
Is there somebody could just talk about it briefly? Would Ireland know about that?
Heather can.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
it's for our diesel tech program. Let me pull up that.
It's on page
Find the
46.
page.
Yeah, I had other notes open about the other topic. So
So they have to buy it from Snap-on
Right. But I'm.
because they are the sole vendor.
Yeah, but at least they'll be Snap-on certified.
yeah, so if you look at the topic for action, it explains what it is. So, I mean, it's needed to be able to facilitate the program. Thought I would also share with you that based on, Diesel Tech is a program we've been recruiting on. And so we have seen some growth in that for fall. So the enrollment is looking good. And we need the equipment to operate the program.
And this is just the same thing. I want to be able to vote yes on it. So I move that we approve diesel technology certification kits.
I
I'll
second it.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungart, trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Jolly,
Yes,
trustee Hueslick,
Yes.
trustee Shear,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
okay, next 8E, pages 47, 48, Soft Docs Document Management Platform,
It's actually 48.
48, 49,
That's right.
48.
And 49 is the backside of it is
Oh,
the quote.
that's right, quote was there. Sorry, 48, 49.
Yeah, this is information that we shared with you ahead of or as part of the work session, although we didn't get a chance to talk about it because of the number of topics for the work session.
Now, on this, do they break up the 282,000? Do they break that up in 5 payments? Is that how that is on the contract?
Yeah.
Okay,
It would be, it's a 5-year contract.
Yeah.
That is the
On your-
total dollar amount.
yeah.
Did we get any other bids on that one? Or,
Um,
and is this something we
Christina-
really need right
is
now?
Christina on with this? She's in India right now. Didn't. Oh,
I am here if you all can hear me.
Hey, somebody's.
Can you hear me?
Somebody's-
Yes,
Yes.
we can hear you. Did you hear the question?
Christina, the question was
did,
whether there
thank
were
you,
any
Linda.
additional
we-
quotes gathered for that.
Yes, so we went out and looked at our options on what products would serve this need. And so we looked at Soft Docs, Chrome River, and another platform as well. And Soft Docs was the solution that came back at the price, not only the price point that we needed to be within, but also all the feature sets that we were needing.
Okay, any additional questions for Christina? We hope you travel safe coming home.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I appreciate that.
Yes, thanks
Where-
for joining.
Where is she?
She's in India.
Christina, stay safe.
And Christina, tell the board what time it is there. Or maybe she.
Right now it is 4 in the morning.
Honey, thank you for getting on. Wow.
Yeah, ahead of us.
Thank you
With
for
that, I
joining.
move that the Board of Trustees approve the 5-year contract with Soft Docs for $282,985.82.
Second,
We have a motion and second.
Trustee Good,
yes.
trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Hueslig,
Yes.
trustee Shear,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Okay, item 8, board action items. The first is negotiated agreement on page 27. It's an overview of the negotiated agreement terms. Shelley?
Yeah. So this is just a summary of what went into the 23-24 contract once negotiated and ratified by the faculty. These are all topics that we have visited with you about kind of ad nauseum, I might say. But so I feel like you have the summary before you. I don't think there's a lot of explanation that needs to be had. But this basically topic for action allows you to ratify that contract after the faculty have done so.
Madam Chair, I move that we ratify the final package as outlined and ratified by the professional employees and set forth in the board book.
One second.
I have a question.
Okay.
And Shelley, this is just for knowledge as we go into next year's negotiations. What is the premium for the single coverage?
Yeah. I told her that question might come up.
I just want to make sure that we all know how much we are contributing to our employees on our health insurance.
Yeah, it's significant, obviously, what the college puts forth for that benefit, but it's not as simple as saying what is the premium for a single coverage because we have 3 different plans. But I do have a cost share kind of piece of paper that you can look at the information about each plan and see what it costs, what the college pays, what the employee pays, and the total cost for that plan or for that
I can
premium.
email it out to everybody.
Okay,
Okay.
that'd be great.
If you'd
Thank
like
you,
that.
Shelley.
Yeah, yeah. My pleasure.
It depends on the deductible level that people are at.
Yeah.
So Shelley just sent me a copy of that this afternoon, Kent and me, and I'll email it out to you.
Thank you.
On an overall basis, are we still essentially contributing about over 90% of the premium cost on an aggregate basis?
The overall is 86.4% for the college and 13.6% for the employee portion.
I think was the last work session where it was like almost $7 million the college paid.
The college
Well,
pays,
Or is it 86% of the 7 million?
the college pays, well, our budget for the amount that we're projecting for this year's spend is $6,416,028. That's for all the plan, including both the employee and the employer portion. The college pays, the employer cost of that is $5,543,700. So that's 86% of that 6.4 million.
And that's for the 381 families or people on. the
There's
plan and
there's
their
about
families, something like that.
370, 74, 75 we run, sometimes a little higher. That's employees. We have about 860 members. So that means they have dependents or family members on the plans.
Okay, final
We haven't
board.
voted yet.
Oh, we didn't vote?
No.
I'm sorry.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Jolly,
Yes,
trustee Hueslig,
Yeah.
trustee Shear,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
I'm just wanting you to move right along.
Well,
Did you have
At the
something
voting,
else,
yeah.
Mary Martha?
Hello, how are you, Linda? Good.
Okay, 8C, retirement of Linda Jacobelli.
I have some words to offer. So Linda has spent 22 years here at Butler. She started in 2002 as a student worker at McConnell. She was part of the team that helped reopen our McConnell location after 9/11. She was moved to the part-time enrollment assistant position in 2003 and spent the rest of her career in that role. So she's been recognized for her willingness to go above and beyond for students, but also her coworkers. And her presence will definitely be missed and her absence will be recognized at that space. So, but we wish her the best in her retirement.
Okay, do we have a motion to accept?
I so move, we approve the resignation, retirement of Linda Jacob Belly. Did I say that correct? With regret.
With regret. Dave, did you have something to say?
No. Second.
Second. Yeah,
That's what I had to say.
okay. And
Trustee Good?
Yes.
Trustee Brungart?
Yes.
Trustee Rhodes?
Yes.
Trustee Jolly?
yes,
Trustee Hueslick?
Yes.
Trustee Shearer?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes, and I move to approve the consent agenda.
Madam Chairman, can I just mention one thing on the consent agenda? On page 103, this is a very routine resolution here, but we have a typo. If you could just maybe allude to that in the motion. It says it's going to be for the 23-24 year, should say for the 24-25 year.
You need a motion?
Now, I think if you just say approve the consent agenda with correction of this typo.
Oh, okay.
I move to approve the consent agenda with the correction, including the correction of the typo on page 103. It should say year 24-25.
You're supposed to say I second.
I second.
okay.
Maybe he doesn't want
And
to.
Jennifer?
Trustee Good?
Yes.
Trustee Brungart?
Yes.
Trustee Rhodes?
Yes.
Trustee Jolly?
Yes.
Trustee Hueslick?
Yes.
Trustee Shearer?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Okay, supplemental information, key performance indicators update.
There is none, Madam Chairman. The next one will be now.
Okay, monthly statement of revenue
Said-
and
said September,
expenditures.
Wait a minute.
Carrie, did you have any?
No.
Okay, thank you notes,
No, thank you notes.
board calendar.
It's pretty slim right now because there's not a lot of activities in the summer, but Jennifer has that ready. In some of the next board books, we'll start to be able to put some of the activities, we're going to be closed obviously over the 4th of July holiday. Faculty return on August 12th for professional development days week, and then fall classes begin on the 19th. So summer will go fast, very fast.
Okay. Keeping in mind, we are almost 45 minutes ahead of schedule. Would someone like to move that we go to executive
Sure,
session?
Dave would love to.
The
Yeah.
first
I'm
part,
sure.
Well,
You're already started.
there's the one thing I have to admit, so.
okay, and you're gonna talk about who's included in the first part? And then
Yes.
the second part, okay.
Okay, Madam Chair, I move that the board recess into executive session to discuss non-elected personnel pursuant to the open meetings exception for said matters, and that the board, President Kim Kroll, Shelley Stoltz, Alyssa Ehrlich, Ray Connell, Jennifer Hartman Weiss, and Kim Jackson be included. And then
For how long?
and the meeting will resume in the Dankert trustee boardroom within 90 minutes.
90.
Okay.
I second.
Like that.
Motion and.
It said within.
Keep with it.
Within
Won't have
600
to.
minutes.
Trustee Good?
Yes.
Okay.
Trustee Brungart?
Yes.
Trustee Rhodes?
Yes.
Trustee Jolly?
Yes.
Trustee Hueslick?
Yes.
Trustee Shearer?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes. I like
What
the
do you
question.
do?
Yes.
Linda's just buttering us up by telling us how far ahead we are, and then we give it all back.
Comments before you
I'm gonna wait just
start
a couple
I had
minutes
to-
for Alyssa to join.
Well prepared, Martha would have gotten on me.
Do your customers or do your clients say,
I just texted
hey, Dr. Hughesly, are your clients like that? Like, are you feeling okay? Are you relaxed? And they're like, yeah. You know, they're not. It's like, put on a brave face.
Oh, what's funny is that I'm like a spirit. Hey, you do, Dave. Take care of it.
Yeah. I've been in my own little world of that. I think it was then it didn't.
Sometimes I'll be thinking and then I realize I haven't heard the last minute of somebody talking. I'm like,
Right, that's, I mean, you try to get. Here, when you guys know someone. It takes me a while.
yeah, they're still acronyms. I have no idea.
He just made the list. He doesn't even know. So-
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, how are you? You too.
Thanks, sir. So 60 minutes would have been 6:46.
Okay, so we entered executive session at 5:43 and we exited at 6:44. We do have action as a result of the executive session. I would entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, the administration recommends the board accept the resignation notice for Jeffrey Timoney and the approval of the severance agreement.
Did I have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Would you please take roll call?
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Hueslick,
Yes.
trustee Shear,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Okay, before we adjourn, I didn't have much on next meeting. I do have that we should have information on the Corvus renewal date and cost, at least by the end.
And also, I'm still waiting on some stuff from last month's meeting, some couple questions I had.
Okay.
Maybe by
and-
next month, I would expect that.
Okay.
What are they? Just to remind everybody. Or do you need
Uh,
to talk to Kim
I
about?
I'd
had
have seen.
down Shelby
It was-
Corvus questions may not be June, so they will be July. You had sent them.
Yeah, I
Correct.
attended.
Make sure that happens. Then I also have for the August meeting approved CMR at August meeting on the 700 HVAC project. So we should expect that in August. Anything else in July that you're looking for? Or anything I don't
Do we-
see?
Would it be work session material? Do we want to have any more discussions? Like you made a couple different options on healthcare, you split it down.
Plan is to come to the work session and talk a little bit about.
Yeah, I was just hoping to address it in a work session before it's like, vote on that. Like, that's,
Anything else you have for the June work session? I think Kent's gonna talk to us. That's what I thought.
Yeah. It's gonna talk some about budget.
And you're gonna talk about insurance removal.
Is the June
Employee.
work session gonna be the 24th? That's the last Monday or fourth Monday.
Okay, anything else? Oh, 6/24/24.
Sounds like.
That could be a lucky number.
it's our luck and we're gonna be here. That's
Insurance.
real lucky.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, we could have a motion.
To adjourn.
Sure,
I'll
yeah.
second.
Trustee Good,
I have one more thing I'd like to add. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
I would like to know more about drug testing for athletes. If we do it, how often? What do we do about it? I just want to make sure the health of our student population is sober.
Okay,
Thank
I'll
you.
let them know.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else?
trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes.
Yes.
Trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Hueslick,
Yes.
trustee Shear,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Out 20.